At that seemingly ordinary dinner moment, the atmosphere at the table was as oppressive as before storm. My wife, Mary, slowly pushed over a divorce agreement, her deep-set eyes fixed on me. After a moment of silence, she spoke. "George, I need to help Tom fight back against his ex-wife, so we need to get divorced first." Before she could finish her sentence, I unhesitatingly took the divorce agreement, signed my name without even looking at it, and then calmly opened a bottle of red wine. Seeing me so calm, Mary couldn't help but raise her eyebrows, her face full of surprise. "Aren't you jealous?" I poured myself a glass of wine and sipped it leisurely, feeling completely unperturbed. Jealous? This good thing that could make her slap others in the face? I can only wish for it. Why would I be jealous? Moreover, Mary was certain that I would remarry her, and to appease me, she transferred all her assets to my name. Yet she was extremely stingy with me for the past 7 years of marriage. She only gave me $500 a month for pocket money while making me do the hardest and most exhausting work. Think back to last month when I fell ill and urgently needed $1,000 for medical expenses. Not only did she show no concern for my condition, but she also exploded at me, saying, $1,000 is your spending for 2 months. Are you keeping a mistress outside? Let me tell you, George, every penny is hard-earned, so you better save. At that time, I naively thought she was just used to living frugally and reluctant to spend money. However, just a couple of days ago, she grandly hosted a welcome dinner for Tom and generously gave him $10 million in pocket money. My colleagues, unaware of our marital issues, joke that rich second-generation kids are generous in their pursuit of true love. But little do they know, Mary did not come from a wealthy family. I worked hard to gather the tuition for her college education years ago. Everything she has now is the result of our joint efforts as a couple. Yet she uses that money to please that pretty boy. However, now I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. With this money, I can finally rest and enjoy life. Mary clearly didn't understand my thoughts. Seeing me sign so readily, she was in a great mood and even took the initiative to serve me some food. "I remember you love spinach the most, so I made it just for you." I glanced at her helplessly, feeling speechless. "What do you mean my favorite? I'm clearly allergic to spinach." The first dish she ever cooked was spinach, and, at that time, I was completely smitten with her. To avoid disappointing her, I forced myself to eat it despite feeling unwell, which resulted in a full-body rash and even severe gastrointestinal bleeding. Back then, she felt guilty and stayed with me in the hospital for several days. But now, she only remembers that Tom loves it and has completely forgotten about my allergy history. Seeing that I didn't move, Mary was about to urge me when the doorbell suddenly rang. She immediately put everything out of her mind, and I ran to open the door with a beaming face. "Tom, come in. Just treat this place like your own home." Tom walked in wearing casual clothes, holding desserts in his hands. "George is here too. I should have brought an extra gift." I nodded slightly, but didn't say anything. No wonder there were so many dishes on the table that I couldn't eat. It turned out this candlelit dinner wasn't prepared for me at all. "What gift does a big man like you need? Let me see what good stuff you brought." Mary was sitting very close to Tom, almost pressing against him. The usually aloof Mary in front of me was now acting like a love-struck little girl, being cute and playful with Tom. "You're still as reckless as before," Tom said indulgently, looking at her. He intended to reach out and pat her head, but caught sight of me out of the corner of his eye, and his hand pulled back halfway. It's my favorite cream cake." Mary scooped a spoonful and put it in her mouth, as happy as a child. I couldn't help but shake my head and smile. "Riley, I once bought her an identical cake only to be met with a scolding. 'Don't you know I have high blood sugar? Buy me a cream cake? Are you trying to kill me and seize my assets?' Now with the cake Tom gave her, her blood sugar suddenly seems normal. Well, this is a gift from the person she loves most. Can it be the same?" Mary and Tom were once a couple admired for their perfect match. However, due to the opposition from both families, Tom abandoned Mary and went abroad. As for me, I secretly loved Mary for 3 whole years, quietly helping her pay for her tuition, bringing her steaming breakfast every morning, and following her in the evenings to protect her while she worked part-time. Until the night they broke up, when Mary was completely drunk. I took her home, and she suddenly grabbed my hand. "George, would you marry me? I swear I will forget him and belong to you from now on." I looked into her sparkling eyes as if seeing my entire world, and in that moment, I said without hesitation, "I do." I thought that after enduring hardships, I would finally welcome a happy life. I married her, stood by her side as we built our lives from scratch, and pushed her towards becoming a strong woman. For her, I gave up my shares in the company and a high salary, even without any recognition outside. However, no matter how much I sacrificed, I could never compare to even a finger of Tom in her heart. 3 years of unrequited love and 7 years of marriage have completely drained my passion. I silently pushed the spinach aside, and Mary noticed my small gesture, mistakenly thinking I was jealous. She rarely spoke up to comfort me, saying, "George, don't worry. Once we help Tom with his favor, we'll remarry right away." I didn't respond because I knew in my heart that we could never go back. Mary smiled brightly the whole time as she served food to Tom, enthusiastically recounting their past amusing stories, completely unaware that I hadn't eaten a bite. When saying goodbye to Tom, Mary specifically changed into a vibrant red dress. She turned to me with a smile, saying, "I have to work unexpectedly and will be working late into the night, so you can sleep by yourself tonight. No need to wait for me." Without waiting for my response, she left. With Tom chatting and laughing, I made myself a bowl of noodles again and had a few bites before going to bed to rest. Just as I picked up my phone, I received a video from Tom. In the video, Mary and he were having a great time at the arcade, their faces beaming with bright smiles. I remember when we first got together, I wanted to take her out to have fun, but she thought I was childish and said it was better to work overtime and make money. So, I worked hard trying to earn money for her, only to inadvertently hear her complaining to her friend about how boring I was. It was then that I realized the difference between love and indifference. Tom kept sending me videos and photos of their fun, but I didn't reply and fell asleep while watching the short video. The next morning, I was supposed to meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 o'clock, but I deliberately arrived half an hour late. Mary has always had a habit of being late. No matter how important our plans are, she would at least show up an hour late. However, when I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, I found that Mary had already been waiting there for a long time. She had carefully done her makeup, and the smile in her eyes when she looked at Tom was something I had never seen, even during our honeymoon. She was in an exceptionally good mood today. In the past, even if I was just a minute late, she would scold me for having no sense of time. But today, after I was half an hour late, she smiled and ran over to link arms with me as we walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau, even kindly asking, "Have you had breakfast?" I brought pork and mushroom buns. Looking at the lonely and already cold bun in the bag, I knew it was leftover from Tom. I waved my hand to refuse. "Let's just get the divorce done." She looked at me in surprise, snorted coldly, and threw the bun into the trash can. During the process of handling the divorce, I maintained a calm and indifferent demeanor. This scene had already played out in my mind countless times. Just after we finalized the divorce, they couldn't wait to get their marriage certificate. When divorcing me, Mary was impatient and dismissive, but when getting the certificate with Tom, she was beaming with joy, showing no restraint. Tom flaunted the marriage certificate in front of me and wrapped his arm around Mary's shoulder, saying, "Don't worry, George. I'll take good care of Mary." During this time, I held the divorce certificate and said nothing. I had already bought my ticket back home. Mary looked a bit dazed, thinking I was angry, and softened her tone. "I'm sorry, George. I had promised to go back to my hometown with you, but now I have to go on a business trip out of town and can't accompany you." I coldly replied, "We're no longer in a relationship. You don't need to explain." Much to me, Mary was taken aback for a moment, her fingers nervously fidgeting, her expression slightly anxious. "The place I'm going for the business trip is a tourist spot. Is there any local specialty you want? I can bring it back for you." I shook my head and walked straight past her. I first went to the company to complete my resignation procedures, then dragged my suitcase back to my hometown to visit my parents' graves. During the 7 years of marriage with Mary, she always had an excuse to avoid going back to the countryside, and this time was no exception. I briefly cleared the weeds around the grave, chatted with them about recent events, and before I knew it, it was completely dark. After finishing these tasks, I finally had time to check my phone and found that my colleagues were shocked by my resignation, sending their regards one after another. In addition, Tom also sent a lot of videos and photos. These two claimed to be on a business trip, but in reality, they were out sightseeing all day, even wearing couple outfits. Watching the scenes in the videos, I felt a bit dazed. Mary once said that street food was unhygienic and refused to accompany me to the night market. Yet now she was holding Tom's hand, wandering through the lively alleys, watching the sea, and enjoying sunrises and sunsets, doing those romantic things that I had once desperately begged her to do. Tom's social media was filled with their photos together, captioned, "Remembering the taste of youth." Mary's posts quickly followed, all scenic photos with a caption, "Still just as beautiful." I smiled helplessly. Mary probably still didn't know that Tom had proactively added my contact information long ago and was deliberately hiding it from me, playing this childish trick. I ignored it, and after resting for a few days in my hometown, I returned home. Mary left the house to me, and I settled in calmly while starting to research the self-media industry, preparing to start a new business. While I was conducting market research, my former colleague Mike couldn't help but vent to me today. Mary always brought Tom, her assistant, back with her. On his first day back, Tom misspelled the client's name, causing a $50 million cooperation project to fall through. What's even more frustrating is that Mary defended him in front of everyone, saying it was just a slip of the hand, and even blamed me for not paying attention to the name when I was gathering the materials. Then she criticized me harshly for half an hour, telling me to pack my things and leave. I responded with a speechless expression. Back when the company was just starting, I had stayed up 2 nights in a row for a project, and just because I was too tired during the explanation and my attitude wasn't enthusiastic enough, she blamed me for losing the deal and humiliated me in front of all the employees, emphasizing that no detail in work is too small and that making mistakes is a serious offense. Now, however, she's so biased towards Tom. I have definitely advised Mary to fire Tom for the sake of the company, but now I don't care anymore. Let her be. Thinking of this, I extended an olive branch to Mike, and he was very happy chatting with me about a lot of things, which helped me understand the situation better. It turned out that as soon as I resigned, Mary handed over the project I was about to complete to Tom. Tom knows nothing about management. To make money, he only buys inferior materials. At this rate, something is bound to go wrong. Luckily, I left quickly. Mike lamented, "It's really ridiculous." Back then, Mary ruthlessly fired even her own cousin for lacking business ability for the sake of the company's development. Yet now she allows Tom, an outsider, to recklessly ruin the company. This must be what they call true love, willing to disregard all boundaries for him. But this company also has my 7 years of hard work in it, so I reported them to the relevant department. After finishing the reporting process, I was just about to go to sleep when Mary suddenly pushed the door open, acting as if nothing had happened. She handed me a gift box containing several oddly shaped shells, which also emitted a faint fishy smell. With a beaming smile, Mary said, "There's a beach nearby, so I went to collect some shells. Do you like this gift?" I took a glance and recognized that these shells were exactly the same as the ones in the video Tom had shown me. In the video, every time Mary picked up a shell, she would ask Tom if it looked good. If Tom said it looked good, she would carefully keep it. If not, Tom would tell her to throw it away. She even said throwing it away would be such a waste. They'll take it back to give to George. The first picked it up myself. It looks thoughtful, and I didn't have to spend any money. Tom deliberately said loudly, "Isn't that inappropriate? After all, he's her husband." Mary continued to search the beach with her head down, saying, "Come on, you know very well that I married him out of necessity. I don't like him." Her words echoed in my ears, and now looking at this Mary, who seemed to still care about me, I only felt disgusted. I pushed away the gift she offered. Mary paused for a moment as if recalling something, then suddenly stepped forward and hugged my waist softly, saying, "Are you thinking about Mom and Dad again? Their passing was just an accident. You shouldn't feel burdened. At least you have me with you. I'm tired." I broke free from her embrace and lay down on the bed. Mary stiffened for a moment, then climbed onto the bed beside me, lying on top of me. "George, let's have a child. You'll have a descendant, and Mom and Dad can rest easy underground." I pushed her away coldly. In fact, I had always wanted a child. In the second year after we got married, I accidentally found a pregnancy test stick she had left in the bathroom. When I learned she was pregnant, I was overjoyed, eagerly waiting for her to share the good news with me. But what I received instead was a termination notice. I cautiously asked, "Her, why?" And she angrily shouted at me, "You have it easy getting a child without having to give anything, but giving birth is so hard on my body and him in the prime of my career. You just want to use the child to tie me down to make me a housewife." Right at that time, I foolishly felt sorry for her struggles as a woman and took care of her during her recovery. Later, I learned that she had originally wanted to keep the child, but Tom came back. She thought Tom was there to take her away, so she unhesitatingly aborted the baby. Now she was bringing up the idea of having a child again, but I no longer wanted one. Seeing that I had my back to her, Mary was quite taken aback. "Haven't you always wanted a child?" "I'm very tired," I replied dismissively. Mary sighed, her tone softening. "You weren't like this before. You were always so enthusiastic." As she spoke, her hands slowly moved down. I immediately grabbed her hand and sat up. "I'm going to sleep in the guest room." Mary widened her eyes and shouted, "George, you said that no matter what I did, you would forgive me. What's wrong with you? I've given you an out. Don't refuse the toast and drink a penalty drink." I ignored her, put on my slippers, walked out of the room, and closed the door behind me, locking it. Mary paced outside my door, then dialed Tom's number and spoke loudly on speakerphone. "Tom, I'm coming over to sleep at your place tonight." I knew she was saying it on purpose for me to hear, but I didn't care at all. I covered myself with a blanket and quickly fell asleep. The next morning, Mary stormed back in, her eyes red and looking at me with grievance. "George, why didn't you come to find me when we were fighting about divorce? Before, you would always buy me flowers to make me happy. What's wrong with you now? Do you mean when you said you would love me forever?" I was speechless. It was clearly her who had betrayed me. It felt like I was the one at fault. I was about to speak when the doorbell suddenly rang. Mary frowned. "Who is it so early in the morning?" I smiled. "My distinguished guest has arrived." When Mary heard it was a distinguished guest, she paused for a moment. Then, as if remembering something, she playfully scolded, "We're already an old married couple, and you're still playing this game. You should have told me earlier. I didn't dress up much today, and I feel embarrassed to meet your friend looking like this." She tidied her dress and hair in front of the mirror, then happily ran to open the door. As soon as the door opened, several police officers stood outside with serious expressions. "Miss Mary, you're suspected of economic crimes. Please come with us." Mary's smile instantly froze on her face, and she instinctively took a few steps back. "You must be mistaken." I walked out of the room to explain. "There's no mistake. I called the police." Mary looked at me in disbelief. "George, are you crazy?" "Whether I'm crazy or not has nothing to do with you. You should confess your crimes to the police properly." I waved my hand, and the police took. Mary looked at me with resentment, but I wouldn't soften my heart anymore. In the afternoon, I called a locksmith to change the locks. I never wanted her to barge into my life again. During the time Mary was under investigation, I finally lived a peaceful life. But soon, the investigation results came out. It turned out that Tom, for personal gain, colluded with the partners before taking over the project to profit from the price difference. However, he did this under the guise of Mary's name, and it was later confirmed that Mary was completely unaware of it. Tom was taken away for questioning, and the first thing Mary did after being released was to call me. "George, you're really something. Even your revenge tactics after being jealous are so unique." I felt helpless. Cutting corners in the construction of the community could lead to serious consequences. Yet to her, it seemed like I was just causing trouble out of spite. She also came from a difficult background. When did she become so cold-blooded? Perhaps I never truly understood her. Mary's arrogant voice came again. As long as you are willing to help, actively admit that this is your mistake. I will forgive you for calling the police on me, and we will remarry immediately. I found her utterly unreasonable. That was a charge that could lead to prison, and besides, I hadn't done anything wrong. Why should I take the blame for someone else? I remained silent, and Mary grew a bit anxious. Why aren't you speaking? Are you mute? I'm only giving you one last chance to admit your mistake, and we will remarry right away. She still thought I was eager to remarry, which was truly laughable. I chuckled and shook my head. No need. We're doing just fine apart. Mary was surprised. You don't plan to remarry? No, I replied calmly. Mary was silent for a moment, then snorted coldly. Tom was right. Men change as soon as they have money. He even warned me not to give you money, but I didn't listen and foolishly believed in you. I didn't expect that after 7 years, a man's heart could change so quickly. She hurt me like this and still wouldn't allow me to let go. Moreover, just because I refused to help her beloved take the blame, I became the traitor in her eyes. It was absurd. Indeed, we men are prone to changing our hearts, unlike you, who only loves Tom. With that, I hung up the phone. I thought Mary would back down, but before long, my photos spread all over the internet. The company brought in the media, claiming that the shoddy work in the community was my responsibility, and even fabricating lies saying I had deliberately let Tom take the blame. I never expected that before I even started my journey in social media, I would become famous in this way, albeit for the wrong reasons. Journalists flocked to my residence, surrounding it completely, all eager to get the first scoop. Looking at the cameras that surrounded me, I pulled the curtains shut. At that moment, Mary called, and from her voice, I could tell she was quite pleased with herself. So how is it? Do you realize your mistake now? It suddenly dawned on me that the company's statement was her idea to protect her beloved. She actually went so far as to slander me, but she forgot that it was Tom who heartlessly abandoned her. She doesn't remember how I helped her and what I sacrificed for her. She is truly an ungrateful and treacherous person. What she didn't know was that I reported him with solid evidence. So I immediately made the evidence public, proving that Tom was greedy and deliberately purchased inferior products, which led to the quality not meeting standards. While Mary blindly indulged his behavior, housing safety is a matter of people's livelihood, and this incident instantly sparked huge public interest, with countless people attacking Mary and Tom's public accounts. Although Mary is now the president, the real decision-making power lies with the shareholders. The public outrage caused by this incident was too great, coupled with many colleagues reporting Mary. After discussions in the board meeting, Mary's position was revoked, gradually calming the storm. Mary stormed in angrily, but I didn't let her in. She forced her way inside. Now we're both down and out. Are you satisfied? I didn't say anything and poured myself a glass of water to drink. In fact, only she was in a mess, while I was using this heat to manage my social media account better and better. Why are you distancing yourself from me? Mary asked, but I still ignored her. After thinking for a moment, she softened her tone and explained, I know you're angry that I pushed you out to take the blame. Don't overthink it. I just want you to return to the state of relying on me like before. I really love you, and I don't want to harm you. I scoffed twice without responding. She only had endless control and exploitation over me, giving me just enough money to eat, not even allowing me to buy a slightly more expensive piece of clothing. But with Tom, she not only gave him money but also indulged him in every way, repeatedly lowering her own standards and indulging him without limits. Now, she says this is love? It's utterly ridiculous. Who would believe such nonsense? Another suffocating silence ensued. After a long while, Mary sighed while sitting on the sofa. Tom is so pitiful. Back then, he was forced to go abroad by his parents under the threat of death. Later, they pressured him into marrying a woman he didn't like, and that woman constantly suppressed him, which led to his failure. He doesn't really want to be greedy. He just wants to achieve something, but he accidentally broke the law. You're much happier than he is. It's just a few years in prison, and when he gets out, he'll still be with him. I looked at her with increasingly cold eyes. This is a crime. It's not as simple as you say. In her eyes, whatever Tom did was justifiable. He was innocent and pitiable. If she wants to help, let her do it herself. I won't be that fool. Mary grabbed my hand and looked at me with those eyes that once made my heart. I will love you forever and be with you. Back then, she used this trick to make me completely devoted to her, and now she wants to use the same tactic to force me to comply. Does she really think I'm still that foolish young man from back then? I shook her hand off forcefully, my voice cold. I don't cherish this kind of love, nor do I want it. Mary didn't expect me to be so heartless. After all, I used to obey her every word. If you keep talking like this, I'm really going to get angry and ignore you. I reached out and pushed her towards the door. This is my home, and you're not welcome here. She refused to leave, so I forcibly pushed her out of the room. Mary stood at the door, stamping her feet in frustration. George, you better not regret this. I certainly want to. I just wish I had never met her. Mary did not give up and continued to linger at the door, occasionally bringing food she had made herself. Do you want to try the porridge I made? She blocked my front door, and I silently turned to leave. Mary was so angry that she stomped her feet. Didn't you always say you wanted to eat this? I made it for you. Now why are you still being so difficult? I turned back to look at her and said helplessly, You said it was in the past. We ended things a long time ago. Mary suddenly teared up and pouted. We only had a temporary divorce. You agreed to it back then. I explained I only signed the divorce agreement and agreed to the divorce, but I never said I wanted to remarry. It wasn't a solution to let her keep pestering me. Mary was very confused. Why? You know about Tom and me. We ended things a long time ago. I'm just asking for a favor. Why are you so angry? She was truly unreasonable. I didn't want to say anything more to her, and took a step to leave while Mary continued to say she wouldn't give up. Whatever. I had no feelings for her anymore. I was browsing various travel destinations online and decided to go out and relax. Fortunately, Mary was so busy with Tom's case that she didn't have time to bother me every day. So, I bought a plane ticket and went to visit various attractions. In the past, Mary tightly controlled the money, and I didn't even have money to buy cigarettes. Now I could finally enjoy life to the fullest. Meanwhile, Mary waited at my house for a long time without seeing me and started to panic. She sent me many messages and made numerous calls, but I didn't respond. With my backpack, I traveled around, and when I was by the sea, I filmed videos, carefully managing my account. Suddenly, I felt someone behind me. I turned around and found Mary standing there. She was wearing the dress I once gave her, holding flowers in her hands, looking at me with affectionate eyes. George, I've come to marry you. Will you marry me? At that moment, I seemed to see the scene from 7 years ago when I proposed to her, only the roles were reversed. Back then, I was filled with joy, holding up the ring, while she looked indifferent, even feeling ashamed, urging me to put the ring on. Quickly saying it was embarrassing with so many people watching, I once thought she was just shy, but later I realized she truly felt I was putting her in an awkward position. I also discovered that when she was 22, her wish was for Tom to propose to her in front of a crowd. What she had always longed for was never me. And now the scene I once dreamed of was unfolding before me. Yet I couldn't feel any happiness at all. The crowd around us was cheering, thinking they were witnessing a romantic love story. But only I knew that the feelings between her and me had always been one-sided on my part. This time, I stood coldly in the crowd, not accepting the ring. Mary looked a bit lost and said to me, If it's because of Tom, you don't have to worry. I completely cut ties with him, and I won't help him anymore. Can we be okay again? Her hopeful gaze looked at me, wishing I could be her support like I was 7 years ago, but I was no longer the naive person I once was. Moreover, could Mary really sever her relationship with Tom completely? She had said similar things before, but every time Tom appeared, she would immediately lose her composure and forget everything else. Someone like that wasn't worth my effort and attachment anymore. There's no need for us to remarry. I turned and walked away. Mary was taken aback and hurried to catch up while the crowd around them murmured in confusion. What exactly are you angry about? Can you tell me so we can solve it together? If it's about the divorce, I can explain again or make it up to you. Don't you want a child anymore? You used to talk about it all the time. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at her. Enough. Do you really not see where the problem lies? You have never loved me. You only saw me as a backup for that elusive promise from Tom. You aborted our child. What you give me is always the leftover, unwanted things. In these 7 years, I have never received a kind word from you. On what basis do you think I would remarry you? Mary was left speechless by my question, as if she was just beginning to reflect, but it was already too late. I continued walking forward, and Mary followed behind, gritting her teeth. You had a crush on me for 3 years before you finally got me. I can make you go back to being that way again. I ignored her and kept filming with my phone. Suddenly, Mary said, "We promised to go back to your hometown together, but we never did. How about we go now? It would be nice to see your parents." I paused for a moment. "Mary, it's really unnecessary. My parents don't want to see you." Mary stiffened, and after a while, she sighed. "Then let's go to the market and buy your favorite spinach. They'll cook it for you tonight, okay?" I looked at her. "I'm allergic to spinach. Did you really forget? Were you so in love with Tom that you can't think of me anymore?" It seemed like she suddenly remembered, and her expression changed. "No wonder you didn't eat anything at that dinner." She made a whole table of dishes I couldn't eat and expected me to eat them. Mary bit. Her lip trembled as she said, "I will always be with you." I didn't respond. This was a tourist spot, and I couldn't just push her away. Before long, her phone rang. It was Tom's lawyer calling, saying that Tom was asking for her help. Mary immediately became tense. On the other end of the line, Tom said pitifully, "I will be with you for the rest of my life. Please save me again." Mary looked at me, opened her mouth, and hesitated to speak, seeing me turn around and leave without hesitation. She seemed to make a certain decision. "Tom, you abandoned me once back then. I will not choose you again. You broke the law and dragged me into it. You can fend for yourself." Mary resolutely hung up the phone and held her phone up for me to see. "George, I really have cut ties with him. I will absolutely not deal with him again." She grabbed my hand, and the sea breeze tousled her hair a bit. "I'm sorry I was foolish before. You said you wanted to go hiking to watch the sunrise and sunset. Now that we both have time, I'll go with you." I actually didn't want to see Mary again. Every time I saw her, I was reminded of the grievances I'd endured over the past 7 years. Those countless nights when I cooked dinner, waiting for her to come home, only to find her secretly chatting excitedly with Tom. Those moments when she would only share her problems with Tom, completely disregarding me. After learning the whole truth, I had already decided to leave for good, but Mary seemed unwilling to accept reality and kept clinging on desperately. I think it's better for me to keep my distance from her, so I agreed to her plan. Mary smiled happily, but her eyes were red. "I will remember the things you love to eat and bring them all to you." We agreed on a time, and Mary excitedly went to learn about my preferences to prepare a surprise for me. Meanwhile, I had already booked a flight abroad. That evening, I saw a post she made on social media. At some point, she had secretly taken a photo of us together and posted it with the caption, "Learning to cook for my husband, hoping to suit his taste." This post instantly received a lot of likes, and my colleagues eagerly commented with gossip. Mike quickly sent me a private message. "No way, George. You're actually the president's husband? You kept that under wraps. No wonder you resigned. Turns out you're living the good life." I replied with a smile, "He's my ex-husband." They said many envious things, but for me, this belated recognition held no meaning anymore. "What kind of gift do you like?" Mary sent a video showing herself in a mall filled with expensive luxury items. "I'll buy you anything you want. It'll make up for all the grievances you've had over the past 7 years." I didn't want to reply at first, but she kept asking, so I casually pointed to a tie. Mary sweetly sent a voice message. "Tomorrow at the hotel entrance. I'll personally put it on for you." I casually agreed, but in reality, I had already packed my bags and was ready to leave. At this time, I was already on a flight abroad. A lot of messages came through, but I didn't receive any. It wasn't until the plane landed that the messages flooded in. "I've arrived. It's been half an hour. Where are you?" "It's okay. I know you must be stuck in traffic." "I don't blame you. It's been 3 hours. You wouldn't have had an accident, would you, George? Where are you? Then came countless phone calls, but I didn't reply. When I arrived at the hotel, I finished washing up and was just about to fall asleep when my phone suddenly rang. I instinctively answered it, and Mary's angry voice immediately came through, driving away my drowsiness. George, we agreed to go hiking. Why did you stand me up? Do you know I waited for you like a fool at the hotel entrance for 5 hours? My legs are numb from standing. Listening to her complaints, I snorted coldly. This is payback for you. We had once agreed to go hiking too. I happily ran to the top of the mountain, set up the tent, and was bitten by mosquitoes all night, yet I never saw her. When I got home, she not only didn't mention her own breach of promise, but also blamed me for not making breakfast. Later, I found out that she had been out drinking heavily with Tom, who had just gotten divorced and had completely forgotten our agreement. Now, those 5 hours she spent waiting at the hotel entrance were just a way of repaying me for that long wait. Mary fell silent, then choked up and said, I'm sorry. I only now understand how you felt back then. I really didn't mean to. No matter where you go, I will search for you to the ends of the earth. Just wait for me. After hanging up the phone, I blocked all her contact information. I had already seen the beauty of the future and didn't want to waste my time and youth on her anymore.